I really don't know how to begin. I really don't know what to say to God. What shall I say to God? I will only have to say, thank you, Lord. What shall I say unto the Lord? I will have to say, thank you, Lord. What shall I say unto the Lord? I will have to say, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. I will have to say, thank you, Lord. Yes, we have a lot of reasons to thank God. We thank Him for making us His members. We thank Him for the life He has given to us. We thank Him for showing us His mercy. Today, on the second Sunday of Easter, we celebrate divine mercy, the divine mercy of God, a day that reminds us of the infinite mercy and love that God has for each and every one of us. Today, I feel very privileged that it coincided with the date of my birth. I thank God for that. And I'm sure you all have reasons to thank Him for one thing or the other, for one mercy He has shown to you or the other. How did the Feast of Divine Mercy come about? Between 1931 and 1938, a nun, Reverend Sister Maria Faustina Kowalska, a Polish, had apparitions of Jesus which inspired the Catholic devotion to the divine mercy and earned her the special title of Secretary of Divine Mercy. Since then, the Church has continued to devote this particular day, of course. I think it was highlighted more by Pope John Paul II to think and meditate and even appropriate that divine mercy that God has shown us. For God so loved the world. In His infinite compassion and mercy, He sent His only begotten Son to come into the world, to die for sinners, to die for you and me. So in today's first reading, we are presented with the powerful lessons. Today's readings, the 2 readings or 3 readings, we are presented with the powerful lessons that can guide us in our journey of faith. In the first reading from the Acts of the Apostles, we learn about the early Christians, the community of the early Christian, the kind of unity and the generosity they have. They shared everything they had in common. And of course, before they shared it, they had to contribute. People contributed according to their means. They bring together and shared according to their needs. If you have much, you bring much, or you have. But during sharing, we will not think of how much you contributed, but what we are looking at is the need. What do you need? So they shared according to need. I believe If the world could be organized in that way, there will be peace everywhere. Because God has provided everything we need here on earth that will be satisfactory to everybody. Everybody can have a peace. But because of greed, because of selfishness of certain people, they want to appropriate everything to themselves and leave others to die of hunger. They don't care. Some kill. Some incite wars in order to appropriate, take all that God has provided, the natural resources that could serve for the good of everybody. That is the problem we have. But if we could share what we have according to needs, there will be peace. So this passage from Acts of the Apostle challenges us to reflect on how we can live in a greater solidarity with our brothers and sisters, especially those who are less favored, less privileged, less fortunate. In the second reading from the first letter of the first letter of St. John, please, we are reminded of the importance of our faith in Jesus Christ. Our faith is what enables us to overcome the world and its challenges. It is through our faith that we experience the victory that comes from God. In the gospel reading from St. John, we encounter the story of Thomas, who doubted the resurrection of Jesus Christ until he saw and touched his wounds. It appears it is Thomas only that was doubting. No. The other apostles were also doubting. If you read the Gospel of Mark, he said so. Mark said they were all doubting until they saw the Lord. So, the others saw him, but Thomas did not at the time. So, he continued with the kind of doubt the others were having. And of course, when you ask of yourself, why were they locking the door? Of course, it was said for fear of the Jews. And where were they fearing the Jews? Because they thought Jesus is gone, is finished. Nobody's to protect us. So, to look for a protection, they locked the doors. If they believed that Jesus was alive, they wouldn't be locking the door. But they locked this door. Jesus, who rose from the dead, how did he enter? His body is a transformed body. Even though the apostles could still touch him, like Thomas could touch him and know that he has flesh and blood, but that his flesh and blood could penetrate, could pass through even the doors, and they wouldn't see him. Of course, they didn't even see him when he was passing. But that shows that Jesus was with them. But they didn't know he was there. He only makes himself known to them, visible to them when he wanted it. But before then, they wouldn't know that he was there. So, Jesus gently invites Thomas to believe, saying, "Blessed are those who have not seen and yet believed, yet come to believe." So it is not only to Thomas, it is not only to the disciples who were present then, it is more for us today. I didn't see Jesus when he rose from the dead. I didn't see him when he came around and was moving. I was not yet born by then. I was just born only 64 years ago. So and that happened many, many years ago. But I am supposed to believe it. That is where Jesus says, yes, if you believe, if any of us, if all of us believe, then blessed are we. Blessed are we. Blessed are we being Christians, followers of Christ. So this passage encourages us to deepen our faith in the midst of doubt and uncertainty, trusting in the mercy and love of our risen Lord. My dear people of God, as we reflect on these readings, let us strive to emulate the unity, generosity, and faith of the early Christian community. Even in our families, if we can begin to emulate that, our little families, and then our bigger Christian families, to contribute according to our means. That means it's not only material things, even your knowledge, your strength, you contribute to it for the building of the community, and then you are served according to your needs. May we open our hearts to God's mercy, the divine mercy of God, and allow it to transform us so that we may bear witness to his love in the world. Beloved of God, may the grace of divine mercy inspire us to live as faithful disciples of Christ, sharing his love and mercy with all those we encounter. What shall I say unto the Lord? All I have to say, thank you, Lord. What shall I say unto the Lord? All I have to say, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. All I have to say, thank you, Lord.